This is Dave Burkett from the Detroit Free Press, and you're listening to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports.
SportsRadioDetroit.com.
We don't need TV to entertain us. He said anus.
I like
Very
it.
well said.
I like
Your
it a lot.
beard is still incredible.
It is. It's getting to that level of like.
Majestic, almost.
I'm excited about it now. I've finally reached that level that I'm proud of it.
My beard is so gross right now. Like I have pubes just glued to my face.
When the fuck
Obnoxious.
did you have long black hair?
Basically, almost all the specs have long black.
You did not. You did have long black. You look like Ringo Starr.
It looks so stupid. Smells like Cypress Hill concert in here.
I think Shakira is incredibly attractive. I think her music's terrible.
It's like it's just yodeling. It's yodeling.
Le, 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 le.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Welcome. Out of Bounds Detroit Sports. Dave's still not here.
No, still on his winter vacation, paid vacation.
Yeah, he's off. I don't know what the hell. He's drinking some Maker's Manhattans.
Probably skiing the slopes in Aspen.
Washing those Manhattans down with an Appletini and a cold Zima.
Can't go wrong with an Appletini.
But it did allow us to get a nice early start this evening. It is only 10 after 7 p.m.
I know.
Ordinarily, we might not be starting the show for another 3 hours.
It's because Dave has to get a pre-show workout in every Thursday.
Dave is becoming very high maintenance.
Yes. I mean, if we were like lucky enough to have like a Rogan studio, he could work out in studio.
I mean, start donating.
Yeah. I would love to build $1 million play palace that we record in.
So Dave can have all the Appletinis he wants.
Archery.
A whole room just full of dumbbells.
Yep.
Or barbells, or
Kettlebells.
whatever he likes, kettlebells, whatever he's doing these days.
Yeah.
So doing some box jumps.
Box jumps.
Get-
Man, I haven't done a box jump in 10 years. Thank God.
Good.
Thank God. I don't need to be doing box jumps.
Just don't go all CrossFit on me.
My legs have no explosion in them at all anymore. After years and years of full contact flag football, these knees are shot.
I'm not even going to ask. We are, of course, invading your ear hole, as always, on sportsradiodetroit.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever the hell you listen to podcasts. And that lovely music that you just heard opening the show, I'll play it again. This can only mean one thing. This is the staple. This is the signature music for when the Lions do something fucking stupid. And we play it a lot on this show.
Yep.
Of course, not having a Monday show due to the Christmas holiday. We hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas.
And Festivus.
This is the first chance we've gotten to sit down and really break down the game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Detroit Lions. And as expected, here we sit. You and Dave both selected the Lions to win this game on Sunday.
Yep, we're pretty dumb.
It's just another game, Jeff. It's another game where you just knew what was going to happen. Right? My history theory just continues to rear its ugly head, doesn't it? Because here's another football game. And I don't even know how many it's been.
I don't even know
4,
if this
000?
is like even like in the hit, like using the history. It's just they went out and lost a game they should have won.
It is. You know why? You know why it is? Because it's yet another football game where the Detroit Lions take the field in a must-win situation. And by the way, everything else that needed to happen on Sunday for the Lions' playoff hopes to remain alive happened.
Yes.
And you
so
go out.
We'd be going into a big week 17.
And you
with
go
some
out.
Excitement.
And you show your ass against a bad Bengals team.
Yeah.
This isn't Marvin Lewis barely squeaking into the playoffs Bengals. This is bad Bengals. This is maybe the worst Andy Dalton's been in his career. For a collective season.
Yep.
I mean, he's not any good anyway, but what does it matter? It's just everything that always happens historically with this football team reared its ugly head again on Sunday. You scored 10 points in the first 3 quarters. It took you a pretty late score in the fourth to even get to 17 points.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, your defense gave up 13 points in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
I don't know what else to say.
I don't know. That defense just fell apart. I mean, you looked across the defense. It's funny. You look across the defense. A lot of rookies playing on that defense. A lot of rookies. Tease Tabor.
That's a fact.
The 2 linebackers that were out there most of the game, both rookies. I believe they had a rookie. Do they have a rookie? They have rookie Ledbetter is a rookie.
Our job is to win games, which we have not been doing to this point consistently enough.
Oh, we'll talk about you a little bit more in a minute, sir.
We talked about this last week. They averaged 77 yards on the ground a game. That was 0.4 less than the Lions. So they were worse running the ball than the Lions were coming into this game. And that is almost impossible to do because the Lions are the worst at running the football.
By the way, Giovanni Bernard, 23 carries for 116 yards.
Yeah, and a touchdown.
For an average of 5.
So they shit all over him. Andy Dalton threw for 238, a touchdown and interception. Stafford had 203, a touchdown and interception. He got outpassed by Andy Dalton. I mean, now, don't get me wrong. I will say some big drops.
It's not illegal. It's frowned upon, like masturbating on an airplane.
Some big drops in that game. I remember there was a third down. It was like 3rd and 4 or something along the lines. They threw a little button hook to Marvin Jones. He dropped it. To get him off the field, I believe it was in the fourth quarter. And they just had big plays. Now, the one thing they had big plays that they could have made and they didn't. But there's the one huge thing to me.
Here's how you know you didn't stop the run at all. You know who led the team in tackles on Sunday?
Glover Quinn.
Darius Slay led the team in tackles with 7.
Darius Slay's a monster, by the way. He's a good player.
He's great. He's fine. But, I mean, what does it matter? There's 10 other guys on the field with him.
I agree. And then you look at the other side of the ball, the offense. Matthew Stafford, obviously there were some drops. Matthew Stafford didn't play the sharpest game. But I will say this.
Oh, imagine that. A game that you have to win. A must-win football game, and Matthew Stafford goes out and, quote-unquote, doesn't have his best effort.
Yep.
It's not
even that.
But as much as we haven't wanted to place the blame on Matthew Stafford this season, and believe me, I don't think a huge percentage of the blame should go to Matthew Stafford, but again, history rearing its ugly head. Matthew, what is the knock on Matthew Stafford? Can't win road games, which he finally started to do a little bit this year. Can't win against teams with winning records. This wasn't a team with a winning record. And can't win must-win football games. Can't win playoff-type games, and he did almost all 3 of those things on Sunday.
You want a little fun stat I think you might enjoy?
I love fun stats.
There were 3 running backs for the Lions who played this week. They averaged 8 carries, 6 carries, and 7 carries. All right? They all got roughly the same amount of work.
Guess who had the best day?
But there's more snaps. There were far more snaps for Abdullah and Riddick. Theo Riddick, he had 8 carries for 16 yards, 2 yards a carry. Amir Abdullah had 6 carries for 21 yards. He had a respectable 3.5 yards per carry. Then there was Tion Green, who had 7 carries for 43 yards. 6.1 yards per carry and a touchdown with a 4th and 1 carry and a 3rd and 1 carry, both for first downs and both for more than 1 yard. It is absolutely insane that we had to watch those 3 running backs.
It's like we talked about last week.
It was incredible.
Tion Green's never going to be a superstar.
No.
But he does enough.
Yeah. He's patient, he finds hole, and he gets positive yardage. All right? And the fact that you wanted to hit, they ran the ball 21 times with running backs. 21 times. Matthew Stafford threw the ball 35 times. Imagine if you gave Tion Green like 15 carries. I think those numbers would be a little bit better than 3.5 yards per carry and 2 yards per carry.
Are you trying to say that Tion Green perhaps might have gone over the 100-yard plateau on Sunday?
Possibly. Considering their run defense isn't very good.
He's just lining up and just running right into somebody's ass and picking up 4 yards every time he touches the ball.
Yep.
But nope, let's keep with this Amir Abdullah experiment. And by the way, should we point out who once again led the team in receiving?
Mr. Eric Ebron.
That is correct. Not only that, he also had Matthew Stafford's one and only touchdown pass.
It was a good catch too.
Oh my God!
He's been playing well, but ever since he started playing well, they can't get out of their own way. I don't know what to say. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what to say about this team, man. It's coaching. Clearly, it's coaching. The defense, I get it, there's injuries. They couldn't get off the field on third down, which is typical Lions defense. Great on first and second down. Can't get off the field on third down. Matthew Stafford has to throw the ball 35 times. They run the ball, and when they do run the ball, they run it ineffectively, except for one guy, but they won't give him the carries. It's like they refuse to give the guy who was undrafted instead of the second-round pick any carries. It's just absurd.
You sure you want to do this, man? You're drunk.
I'm drunk. You're drunk. Everybody's drunk.
Sure seems like it sometimes. And by the way, speaking of that particular head coach...
Yeah, that leads us right into...
Wow! Has it gotten... Because there's not much more to say about this. The Lions have done what they've always done. Yeah. And what else was to be expected? And they have a game on Sunday, and nobody should care.
And it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that they play on Sunday.
But they were playing meaningful football in the week 16.
Should they start or sit Matthew Stafford? 248.
Are the Lions the worst team in the history of professional sports? 248. Yes, they are. Yes, they are the worst team in the history of professional sports.
The Browns are going to be the worst. The Browns are going to lose like 25 games in a row.
I'm going to tell you this, though. There is no doubt in my mind that if this Browns team plays that 08 Lions team 10 times, they win 7 or 8 of those games.
You think?
Yes. That team is far more talented than that Lions team was.
Yeah, but
there weren't even pro athletes on that Lions team.
Yeah, that team was really bad.
You got
Calvin.
You got baby Burger King hands Dante Culpepper at 40 years old trying to run this offense.
It was Culpepper and Kitna, right? Those were the two guys.
It was Culpepper and Orlovsky.
Yeah. Kitna came what? Kitna was before that.
Rod Marinelli had his shovel out.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you this: Browns are better coached.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel horrible for Hugh
Jackson.
Jackson.
That story from Sean Beligian about Killer Kowalski and Rod Marinelli.
Oh, yeah.
Marinelli, you could see Marinelli was going crazy. That story was great.
Killer was the one that drove Rod Marinelli off the table.
He just kept
drove him off the edge.
Yeah.
I got my shovel in my
this
axe.
Team, it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. I don't know what it is. You look at this.
It's believably unbelievable.
Marvin Jones is a great player, right? And so is Golden Tate. I'd say this. I was wrong when the Lions signed Golden Tate. I thought it was not that great of a signing. The guy's just turned out to be a stud. Marvin Jones is a stud. He's a very good player. And they made drops in big moments, and it's like it's unlike them to do that. And they drop the ball in big moments. If Eric Ebron drops the ball in a big moment, I don't think any
Which,
of us
people bring up,
shocked.
Dan, how can you always bring up history? I swear to God, the way these games go down, it's like these players are on the field going, this team has never won anything. We can't win anything for them right now.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously that's not what's going through these players' minds,
honestly,
but God damn it, that's what it seems like.
And really, this loss to the Bengals, if you look at it, you can look at it in sort of like a, like they let you down softly. Because they could have so easily be in the hunt. Atlanta loses, and the Lions go out and lose to Brett Hundley, the Green Bay Packers at home in Week 17, and have you shit yourself screaming at the TV that they fucked you again.
What was worse?
And
this or that?
Or they could have won.
How does do that?
Or they could have won, went to the playoffs, and got creamed in the first game. And you would have been pulling your hair out again. So this time, just like the Fugees, they're killing you softly. Oh. It's true.
Oh man, that circles it right back around to Jim Caldwell, because apparently we're not killing him softly. We're killing him rock hard, because some nobody in Port Huron, some nobody writer puts out an article, an opinion piece, saying that Jim Caldwell's if he gets fired, it's going to be due to racism.
Yeah, let me. I have it in front of me.
That's right. I'll set it up here for a second.
Yeah, set it up.
Because
his name is Joseph Hayes.
Joseph Hayes.
From the Port Huron Times Herald.
Oh, that's a hell of a publication, that is. So this guy comes out and decides that he wants to say that if Jim Caldwell were to be fired, it would be due to racism. That's why Jim Caldwell would be fired. And here's the thing: he kind of brings up some semi-valid points by saying that he's ensured the Lions their first back-to-back non-losing seasons in 17 years. He's gonna have gotten the Lions to the playoffs 2 out of the last 4 seasons. No coach has ever been fired after that. This, that, the other thing, right? So what can the only other explanation be that he would be fired?
I don't know, Dan. What could it be?
It's because of racism. And here's what pisses me off about this thing before you go ahead and give us some of it, Jeff. The thing that pisses me off about this is that you know me, Jeff. We've talked about race on this show maybe more than any other sports show in fucking America. We've talked about race on this show. And we've done so deeply. We've made some jokes, but we've also done so in a deep, conversational, forward-thinking kind of way. And nobody wants people and society, particularly in this country with what's going on now, nobody wants people to talk about race more than I do, particularly white people. I think white people need to talk about race more than any other people in the world, because white people are the only people that get to sit back and go, it's not my problem, I don't have anything to do with it, and that's part of the problem. So I'm not one of these people that doesn't think race is a problem. I'm not one of these people that doesn't think people lose their job because of their race or their gender. But what pisses me off is by putting out garbage like this that Mr. Hayes did, what you're doing now is you're now alienating real race problems.
Yes.
Because you're bringing race, because there are really just some things that have nothing to fucking do with race, and that's what this is. If you think that Jim Caldwell shouldn't be fired because of the recent record that he's had, and that it must be because of race, to speak on the first part of that, shouldn't be fired based on his the things that he's done here in the last 4 or so years. It would be semi-unprecedented for him to lose his job under these circumstances. However, we live in Detroit Lions football. We live in unprecedented waters here.
Yeah.
This is a town. This is a magical land where football just dies.
Yeah.
Players come here to die. There has been this culture of losing for almost 70 years now. I mean, this is what we're looking at. So, yeah, mediocrity and doing okay, for me, is not enough. It is time to get to that next point. I think coaches should have a shorter leash with this organization. Jim Caldwell, no different. And how about the fact that Jim Caldwell, I don't know, can't count to 11? Well, that must be a race joke, right? He can't count to 11. He can't count to 11 because he's black.
Jesus.
Come on, no, you know what I'm saying though. Get the fuck out of here. And it's you don't put the right formations out on the field. You can't count.
Yeah, and that's okay.
You can't manage the clock.
So you
or your timeouts.
So you went to the playoffs twice. Mm-hmm. You lost both games. All right.
Shocker.
Last year you fizzled out down the stretch. You
Criticism
were
doesn't bother us.
9-4, and you crapped the bed. Squeaked in and got killed. All right. You've had a couple winning, or 500 or better seasons, but that's 500 or better seasons. They're not anything to look at. They're teams that if they were to go 500, they would be even close to 500. They'd be screaming to the skies to get their coach blown out, right? So this is how ignorant
I love Jim Caldwell.
Joseph Hayes is about sports in general. All right? About this town and their sports in general. I'm going to read you some clips, and we can comment on these.
Did you highlight the good parts?
Oh, you're going to know the good parts when I say them. I'm starting at the good parts. It's a long column, and the first half of it is talking about all the things Jim Caldwell has done and this and that.
And
right?
here we go. It's on. Race war.
No, it may not.
Race war. Race war. Race war's on, everybody.
Where I chose to start might not sound like they're going to talk about Jim Caldwell, but it'll all tie together, and this is where the good parts are, right? Okay, so it begins. This is where I picked out going forward. Locally, Stan Van Gundy is the president and coach of the Detroit Pistons. Mm-hmm. This is to give you a scope of how ignorant he is about sports. He hired the general manager, yet the Pistons are spinning their wheels in year 4 of his tenure, and I have not heard one argument in favor of his dismissal. No one in the media is reporting. No one is reporting that he is on the hot seat, even as the Pistons draw poor crowds at the new Little Caesars Arena.
Piston fans, up on your feet!
All right, the Detroit Pistons are 4th in the East. All right, they're 19-14. They are off to one of the best starts they've had in years. If they keep it up, they're in the playoffs. Not to mention, he pulled off a great trade and got Avery Bradley here, who's a very good player. Andre Drummond looks to be improving and maturing before our eyes in year 4 of Stan Van Gundy. The reason people aren't showing up is because they don't stand a goddamn chance against the Cavaliers or the Golden State Warriors. So there's no reason to go.
Not to mention,
there are people going, but they're not. It's not.
Maybe it's mostly the talk that we have on this show, but I've heard plenty of rumblings about being dissatisfied with what Stan Van Gundy has done with the Pistons.
Yes, a lot of people have voiced their opinion on it. He gets criticism. Let's act like he doesn't. Let's not act like he doesn't get criticism. But clearly this guy.
And you know what else You know what else Stan doesn't do that Jim Caldwell does? That Brad Ausmus did, who has, by the way, subsequently been fired.
Yeah.
When your coach or manager, in Brad Ausmus's case, is single-handedly responsible for losing a game, that can never happen.
Yes, exactly.
You have to. If somebody's going to lose a game, it has to be the guys on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Not because of a stupid decision you made.
You cannot be making coaching mistakes, not challenging things. We'll go over all that. So then he goes, I don't need to say much about the Detroit Red Wings. They took a pair of losses recently that embarrassed the entire fan base, but there is still more support for Red Wings coach Jeff Blashill than there is for Caldwell.
No, there isn't.
People are calling for Blashill's head right now.
Here's what I think he's missing, just based on everything that you just said.
Yes, the two sports in very different situations than the Lions.
And the NFL is king.
Yes, the Lions are number 1.
Everybody talks about the NFL.
They triple the attendance for either of those teams in a single Sunday.
I think the main point here is that if Jim Caldwell were a white man, believe me, I know I would be having the exact same conversation right now today.
Yes, so would I. Okay, if he was Mooch, Marinelli,
Jim Schwartz.
I mean, we were talking about blowing Jim Schwartz out forever until he got blown out. So let's not act like it's because Jim Caldwell is black. All right. Now let me continue. That's why I wanted to give you a scope of what he thinks about the other teams, because clearly
we've already shot everything down.
He does not understand what's going on in this city. Stan Van Gundy is rebuilding. Year 4, the team is doing well. That's why you don't call for his head.
Talk that way.
That's why you don't call for his head, because he's rebuilding it and they're playing well. God, they beat the best team in the league the other night or earlier this season on the road. Maybe the best team of all time. All right. So here we go again.
Settle down.
So he says, let's be real. It's obvious that many fans don't like Caldwell, and it doesn't have anything to do with winning. For many Lions fans, Caldwell can do nothing right. There are the same fans that called African Americans thugs for quietly taking a knee during the national anthem. These are all the same people who cheered with approval when President Donald Trump called football players sons of bitches.
And bad hombres?
Bad hombres. Now these quote-unquote fans...
So wait a minute. Let me just put this in perspective the way I'm reading it.
Yeah.
He is essentially saying that everyone who wants Caldwell fired must be a Trump supporter.
Yes. I thought the same thing. I'm like, that's quite a link. And that all Trump supporters are racist.
Yeah.
Lots of strings here.
All racist by proxy.
Yeah, racist by proxy. Now these quote-unquote fans, literally quote-unquote fans, in the written, have the best coach in modern Lions history in their sights. And no, it's not just because of the terrible loss to Cincinnati. For many, it's because he has brown skin. Each time fans pressure ownership to make a change in a front office or coaching staff, they gamble with the hope that the grass is greener on the other side. They forget how far the Lions have come under Caldwell.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let me get this straight. Instead of drowning in their own vomit, now they've at least picked themselves up off the floor. They haven't even wiped the vomit off their face yet.
No, exactly.
But that's progress.
Exactly. But the organization has benefited tremendously from Caldwell's stability and consistency. If he is fired in the next couple of weeks, he'll surely bounce back with his character still intact. Yeah. Who's taking away his character?
And here's the other thing. If Jim Caldwell gets fired, and I firmly believe he should be.
He probably will never be a head coach ever again.
However, Jim Caldwell is going to be just fine.
Yes, he'll go be a coordinator somewhere or quarterback's coach, and he'll make his $1 million.
He still made a lot of money.
Or he'll retire into the sunset with his $4 million a year or whatever the fuck he was making.
People that get upset or like feel bad for coaches
yep.
or GMs when they're fired. Like, do you not understand how much money they just made to coach a kid's game? That's what I mean. To feel bad for that person because they lost their job. You know who you feel bad for? The fucking factory worker that lost his job because now he can't feed his fucking family anymore. That's who you feel bad for. Not a goddamn NFL football coach, white, black, male or female, or anything else in the middle.
I left this piece out, and I am going to add it right now because this is a little bit before where I started, but I think it's relevant.
Okay.
It says, it's still not good enough and will never be good enough. That's talking about how much Caldwell has done. Look throughout sports and find someone who is in a position similar to Jim Caldwell. Look at Minnesota Vikings coach Mike Zimmer.
Oh, boy.
Or Dallas Cowboys coach Jason Garrett.
Oh, boy.
In many ways, they've had much more talent than Caldwell and produced less. But they are far from the hot seat. You mean both teams that won? One team won a division this year and one team won a division last year.
Oh, by the way, I believe Jason Garrett's won a couple playoff games.
And I believe Jason Garrett has been talked about being fired because of the performance of this team this year without Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
It's been boated around. And he wrote, look at Minnesota Vikings coach Mike Zimmer. He wrote this on the 26th. They had clinched the division before he had wrote this. Clinched the division. They have lost, 2 games? 3 games? What is their record?
One of them was to your Detroit Lions.
What is their record right now?
I don't know. We should know that, but we don't care enough.
No, I haven't. Oh, hold on, I got it. They're 12-3, Dan. 12-3 with a third-string quarterback
and one of the best defenses in the league.
So this just shows you how much this guy knows. He's
here we go.
He's incredibly smart.
It's on! Race war!
He's incredibly smart, clearly. He knows a lot about sports.
Oh my God, that's just such a that makes me so mad because that is quintessential fucking race baiting.
Yeah, this whole article is race baiting.
And here's the thing, this guy's got notoriety from this.
Yeah.
Because the Free Press picked it up.
If the Free Press decided not to run this story, and literally this is the only reason, the Free Press decided to run this story, no one would have heard about this story, no one would have batted an eye, no one would have read this thing, except for the people in Port Huron. If the Free Press didn't pick it up, right? It does not matter if the Free Press doesn't pick it up. It's absolutely irrelevant. But because one of the 2 largest news sources in the city of Detroit decided to write this column, it's not fake news. It's it's not a story. It's an opinion. It's a column. Do not get it confused. Yes, us regular people are like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Of course we think that because we know it's not about racism. I've never once thought Jim Caldwell was a bad coach because he was black once in my life. I think it because he can't put 10 or 11 guys on a field. I think that because he doesn't know when to throw a challenge flag. He doesn't know when to call timeouts. He loves to burn time on the clock.
See, you're just like me, Jeff. You're saying that Jim Caldwell is dumb because he's black, right? That's what you're saying?
No. What?
God, I hope people realize that sarcasm.
Yes. I was like, what?
I mean, it has to be, right? It's all racial.
Let me finish it up here. But for the rest of us, we are faced with yet another lesson on just how far we have left to go in society. I'll remember 2017 for many reasons. But at the forefront of my mind will be the racism I experienced and similar experiences of many others. He goes on to talk about his kid in a waiting room with racist messages. And
Do you ever shut the fuck up?
Well, I'm sure this guy has experienced racism in his life.
Okay, and I'm not saying that there aren't probably stupid racists out there who they want him gone because he's black, but you do not. I've never heard it.
Do not lump me in with those people.
I've never heard it. I've never seen it on social media, personally. I've seen fire him. I've seen he's a terrible coach. He's an annoying douche because he won't answer the media. All those things. But I've never, ever seen because he's black.
You've never seen anything like, oh, Jim Caldwell is just a stupid N-word.
No.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen that. And it's absolutely ridiculous how this guy wrote this article and put this out there for the world to read. And it's even more ridiculous that the Free Press picked it up.
And Lions beat reporter from the Detroit News had a response to the fact.
Yes, he did not like the fact that this guy, who's never in the room, he's not a Lions writer.
Yeah.
He's just some guy that the Free Press ran with. It wasn't even one of the Free Press. It wasn't Dave Burkett. You know?
I would love... See, because Berkey would never write
anything
an article like that.
Yes, because he's not stupid, for one.
And he doesn't think that.
No, he doesn't think that way. And, of course, this guy...
But Jeff, Dave Burkett is white.
Yes, he's white. So, why the hell would he think racism matters?
Just in case anybody didn't realize that.
Yeah, and not once have I ever seen the media in Detroit...
This is Dave Burkett from the Detroit Free Press.
I've never seen any of these guys go after Caldwell because it was race or treat him any different than they've treated any other shitty Lions coach that's ever been here before.
Well, and Justin Rogers from the Detroit News decided, I think it's really stupid that my competitors decided to run with this article. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Allen Park and actually ask Jim Caldwell
if he thinks that has any merit.
And Jim Caldwell. I'll play the clip here in a second, but Jim Caldwell found a way to demonstrate to me another reason why we don't like him in this answer.
Yes, without him having to do with him being black.
That's true. That's true. You better preface it with that. Anyway, here it is.
Has never been unfair because of that reason.
No.
It's terrible audio.
Probably comes as a great surprise to you guys. I don't read any articles. As good as you are, I've never read any of your articles. Never listened to the radio, never. So all the stuff that you guys write and those kinds of things, as well as people nationally, I learned that lesson back in the 80s. So it's been a while, but no, I've never felt that way.
What would you say to people who believe that?
I'm not saying anything. I just answered this question. Why do I have to go into it in any more detail? It's in the story.
Oh my God! And that's it right there. That last answer.
Yep.
I don't know who it was.
You know what? It's probably like Meineke or somebody.
Somebody had asked him again he asked what he would say to people that think that he is being fired due to race, and he goes, "Oh, I'm not going to say anything. I just answered his question."
Yeah.
This is why Jim Caldwell is unlikable. Just answer the question. What would you say to those people? Even if it's just a canned answer. Oh, I would tell them that I think that's ridiculous.
And then it's not true. And then move on.
But you can't even give that is why Jim Caldwell is such an unlikable head coach. I don't know how he is as a person. I don't really give a shit.
Now go down, pull down on that page. We're into the article.
I don't think the article's here. I think it's just the video.
It's just the video?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if I can pull up the article.
Well, yeah, because this is the Free Press.
Oh, all right.
This is the Free.
Yeah, that was probably whoever the Burkhead or who put this video up.
It doesn't even say.
No, it doesn't. It's just Carlos Monarez.
Yeah, Carlos Monarez.
Yeah,
put the video up. This is that answer is exactly why, from a human perspective, I don't like Jim Caldwell. The guy can't even give a canned answer. The guy can't even give a typical coach speak answer.
Yep. And so I think that Justin Rogers from the News decided, wow, that was pretty ridiculous that this guy, that the Freet posted this, that they put it out there.
And that's just a competition thing. Like, I don't hate on the Free Press for doing this.
And it's not a guy in the room either. It's not Burkett or, a Carlos. It's not a guy who's there every day that they know each other. They're probably all friends. I mean, it's not a competitive thing in the way it's like we hate you and you hate us or anything. It's not like Anchorman or anything. They're all buddies. But so he goes out and he was the one who asked this question, and so he goes on to say a column in the Times Herald Report Huron ran Tuesday suggesting that Caldwell was on the hot seat not due to what the team has failed to accomplish on the field, but because of the color of his skin. And so he asked Caldwell, and obviously Caldwell said no, according to the audio there. And there are actually people who are attacking Rodgers for race baiting,
calling it fake news,
calling the fact that he addressed this terrible article fake news,
even though it's not news at all,
even though it's an opinion. And he's like, it's a stupid one, so let's ask Jim. And Jim's like, yeah, pretty stupid.
In Jim Caldwell's own way.
Not true. And they're all like, yep, that's what we thought. Thank you.
That's a fact.
And he refuted it. And he wrote this article saying, hey, this guy said this. I don't think it's right. So I asked Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell, he doesn't agree. And it's pretty ridiculous. It's all based on his performance because he doesn't beat anybody good in the 4 years he's been here. And there are people attacking Rodgers because he's a race baiter and wants to be put on TV or something. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
No. Be specific.
Oh, he wants to be on Morning Joe or Jimmy Kimmel. Like, as that would ever happen. They're just going to have some beat writer on Jimmy Kimmel because he talked about race. I mean, that's not how it works. It's just ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. Jim Caldwell isn't a very good coach. When Jim Caldwell was hired, I hated it.
And he's not a likable interview.
Yeah, my buddy Greg, who was the one who would get he was the one who would talk to the sales rep about renewing our season tickets. And we canceled right when Schwartz was let go and Jim Caldwell was hired. And they called us and they said to Greg, and they said, hey, you want to renew your tickets? And Greg goes, no, I don't. And they're like, can we ask a reason why? And he went on a diatribe about how Jim Caldwell was so terrible that we would not renew our tickets and that we wouldn't win anything under him.
Well, were you part of the Wisenhunt clan?
Oh, I was a Wisenhunt guy, and I believe he got a fucking raw deal down there in Tennessee. They didn't have a single quarterback, and they canned him after having no one. They're like, here, just have this terrible team. Oh, you didn't win anything with them? You're out of here. It was like, what?
I mean, I don't know that Ken Wisenhunt would have been a far better coach than Jim Caldwell.
I don't know either. I just thought at the time it made more sense.
It did. And I think that...
It's not like I would want Wisenhunt now.
Here's the other thing. Even looking back, hindsight being 20/20, I don't think Jim Caldwell was their first choice.
No. Wisenhunt was their first choice.
I would agree with
you. They put a plane down.
Yeah, they brought him in for an interview first.
And they sent a plane for him, and he didn't get on it. And then he hired him.
I mean, can you blame him for that?
And then they're like, hey, Jim, you still want the job? After their plane's like on the news.
Oh, wait a minute, Jeff. Isn't that racism too?
What, that he's the second choice?
The fact that he was a Rooney Rule hire.
I know.
I mean, you can tie it all together,
it's
man.
It's all so ridiculous. It's like, all right, are you racist if you hire a black coach? But then are you racist that you fire him? Because you're not racist because you hired him. But if you fire him, you're racist.
If you fire him because he did a shitty job.
If you don't hire him, you're racist. If you fire him, you're racist. There's no way around it.
Not because he did a shitty job.
And I'm the first one to think racism's terrible. And if it was racism, I'd say, yeah, it's fucking racism. But it's not. And this is just the most ridiculous thing I've seen. He just lost to the Bengals, folks. The Bengals.
A bad Bengals
with a lame duck coach. With one of the worst quarterbacks in the league right now. With a team who can't rush for more than 70 yards
in a game that you had
to win to make it to the playoffs. It was essentially a playoff game, and they lost.
Naturally. Anyway, we got to take a break. What do we have in front of us here, Jeff?
Showtime.
There's some...
we got Pistons.
Yeah.
5 out of 6, baby.
Big time.
Rolling.
Big time injury as well.
Rolling. Calling for Stan Van Gundy's head after 5 out of 6.
Yeah, that's right. That's racist because he's German.
Well, yeah, we're not calling up for Stan Van Gundy's head, so we're racist.
I am. I don't know if
You're
I'm
racist.
I'm not
You're calling for his head.
I'll let you figure that. I'll let you figure that out. We've also got what did I have here? Oh, we've got some disturbing details regarding the sexual harassment at the NFL Network.
Oh, I can't wait to hear these.
Yeah, this is it's pretty good stuff. I don't know if it's good stuff or what it is.
Yeah, it's really hard to call that good stuff.
I haven't read the entire thing. We've got other stuff. You're listening to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports. Jeff Mel and myself, Dan Griffin. SportsRadioDetroit.com. Do not go away.
I cannot preach. I cannot preach. I gotta show them how I can get it in. First, take your sip, do your dip, spend your money like money ain't shit. Ooh, ooh, we too fresh. Got to blame it on Jesus. Hashtag blessed. They ain't ready for me.
Hey, this is Brittany Wagner with Last Chance U, and you're listening to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports.
Well, if it isn't ass and wipe.
I'm not aware of too many things. I know what I know if you know what I mean.
All right, welcome back. Out of Bounds Detroit Sports. David's phase is being high maintenance.
Yeah, we thought he would. He sent us a text.
Yeah.
And we thought it was going to be like, it was like, you guys doing the show tonight? We thought it'd either be like, I'm going to show up and do with you, or, you know, maybe like some encouraging words.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, great, like, you guys talking about this, or, no, it was just very good.
Very nice.
You guys doing a show tonight? Yeah, we are. Very nice.
We thought we were going to get a surprise visit from David Faze.
Yeah, we're going to call or something.
He's too busy throwing rouge on a stripper.
You could call us, Dave. We are still your friends.
He's not going to hear us until after the show's over, but because we're not on Facebook Live right now.
Nope. He'll hear me tomorrow, though. Son of a bitch.
What?
Said he'll hear me tomorrow.
I was watching this video before we started this segment.
Yeah, it's quite strange.
It is quintessential 1991. I don't know if that's when this song came out.
It really does look like that. I'm surprised 8 million people have played this.
She's a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. Edie Brickle.
I do believe it's Brickell.
I like Brickle better.
She's just like standing behind 4 prison bars with light bulbs hanging off of them
in
a warehouse.
I think it's just like a weird light fixture, really. I don't know.
I mean,
we're not here to break down
quintessential 1991.
Edie Brickell's and the new Bohemians.
This video is fascinating.
It is strange. It's so
especially after we just hit the bowl. Like, why are they? They're like in tiny cars.
They're all in tiny cars. They're like in like the carny cars.
This is. I swear to God, I made the observation that this warehouse with the tiny cars and all this stuff. This looks like where a child molester would hang out. And then he gets in this weird white van and goes and does his thing. Meanwhile, Edie Brickell rents the place out and does this weird music video.
She's also very androgynous looking. Or ambiguous.
Was she hot?
No.
She looked like she might be a little sneaky hot, like maybe she cleans up nice.
Yeah, if she didn't look like a dude.
Hey, come on. We can't talk this way. We're going to get fired from SRD.
We'll never get fired from SRD. I mean, I guess we could, technically, but we'd have to really do something savage.
Yeah. And? Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know what that savage act would be, but...
Oh, my God. The sexual harassment stuff continues.
At SRD?
No, but that's basically where this conversation took us.
You're right.
Miguel Sano, the latest to be accused.
Damn it, Miguel.
Star player for the Minnesota Twins. But we can wait on that. If you want to jump into the Pistons.
We can jump into the Pistons. We touched a little bit on them earlier.
They're doing all right again, but...
Yeah, I'm currently watching them.
The schedule's gotten a little bit easier since that losing streak.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a tough streak. And
it was.
And it's not like they didn't already had beaten some of those teams. You know, it's not like they went in there and just got creamed by all the good teams and you're like, all right, now it makes sense. They don't play anybody good. They already beat like Golden State on the road.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
stuff like that.
I mean, I guess it's neat to look at, but again, I don't know where it's going.
I mean, it's really more of a...
I just still don't see much of a direction. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that I'm going to see that this year.
I don't necessarily think that. I mean, offensively, they're pretty good. I wouldn't say offensively in the sense of like they're 22nd in the league in points for, and they're 8th in the league in points allowed. It's like a 1 point difference, you know? But I would say that they're efficient offensively. They stay in games. You know what I mean? They have that kind of...
Are you getting excited again? We're past Christmas now. The NBA season's officially started.
Yeah, and in fact, I was going to mention that, and I am a little excited because they are 4th in the East. They've won 5 of 6. Their schedule, they've played a very tough part of their schedule already, so you know you're going to get some easier stuff. I mean, they bombed Indiana the other night. Bombed them.
We just form a fucking wall.
And the new superstar Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, he was pretty good, but I mean they held him down.
He was very, very average in Orlando.
Yeah, I know.
Very average.
He's a great player though, and I thought he was always going to be a great player. He's a high flyer, and he can put the ball on the floor. And yeah, Pistons are partial score 62-61. Magic. Just started the second half.
Speaking of those Orlando Magic.
But, I mean, you beat the Hawks on the road. You beat the Pacers on the road. You beat the Magic at home.
The Hawks are the worst team in the league.
You lost to the Mavs. You beat the Knicks at home, and then you bombed the Pacers at home. Now you're at Orlando.
I mean, the Pacers are certainly the most impressive win in that stretch, only because, I mean, you struggled against the Knicks, who by the way, can we mention this? The Knicks finally improving a little bit.
Yeah, they're not terrible, and they have a monster in
now that the cancer is gone. Now that Carmelo Anthony is busy spreading his filth around the OKC locker room,
holding them down,
things are a little bit better. Doesn't that just tell you everything you need to know about Carmelo Anthony? I don't think this is where you wanted this conversation to go, Jeff, but while we're on it, we're on the topic.
Anybody who's paid attention to me about the NBA over the last 7 years, 8 years, I've always said Carmelo Anthony is just a guy. He's just a guy who knows how to score the basketball in the most inefficient way.
Don't you think that Carmelo Anthony would immediately be a better player if he clearly weren't a problem player? Somehow. I don't know what makes him a problem player. I don't know if he's lazy. I don't know if he's an asshole. I don't know what it is.
He doesn't play much defense.
Clearly, it's something inherent with Carmelo Anthony that drags an entire team to the doldrums.
Yeah,
is what it seems like.
Yeah, he's like an anchor. He just holds them down. He's like an anchor that hasn't hit the floor.
How has he not hit the floor yet?
So he's just dragging along, slowing the team down. He's not stopping the team, but he's not helping them in any way.
So you think it's strictly on the floor that's Carmelo Anthony's issue? Because I was hinting at something maybe more of a personality problem.
Well, that's part of it. I mean, it's chemistry on the floor is huge to do with the personalities that are on the floor together. I mean, like look at the Pistons when they're gelling, it's their personalities are getting along. Nobody's fighting. You don't hear any infighting. Reggie and Andre are doing their thing. They're all backing each other up. They're all supporting each other. That's when the Pistons have been the best this year. And with Carmelo, you just see this like I think it's more of I think he's more of a anchor on the cruise ship that is Russell Westbrook. Like Russell Westbrook feels the need to have to get Carmelo Anthony into the game. Carmelo Anthony wants to be in the game. If you don't feed him, then you're going to have problems.
Tying that back into the Knicks, I guess. I mean, when you look back over the summer, wasn't there some rumblings of Kristaps Porzingis like leaving the Knicks and going back home to play basketball? Did I read or hear something about that?
I don't really.
Or remember. He didn't.
I don't want to stay because I don't really remember.
He didn't show up to some sort of team function.
Was it a photo or something?
Or it was like the end of the year like locker clean out deal with the media. I think that's what it was, and he just didn't show up. And how much of that has to do with the fact that Carmelo Anthony was on the team?
Well, yeah, and look at him now. He's just thriving like you wouldn't believe.
Seems like he has a pretty good attitude.
He's the superstar New York has wanted for a long time.
He's a physical animal.
Yeah, he's so good. He can shoot the ball anywhere on the court. He's so good.
He moves the ball like somebody. It should be physically impossible for a man his size to be able to move the ball the way that he does.
Great passer, great shooter.
He's like the European version of Giannis.
Good rebounder, good in the paint, good post.
Not quite as good of a defender as Giannis, but who is?
Well, I mean, come on. There's a reason his nickname is Freak.
He's the next guy.
He's the next guy.
I'm telling you, he's the next guy.
He's like a young Kevin Durant right now. Like how Kevin Durant used to be when he was young. You just knew how good he was, and it was just going to take, into his 5th, 6th, 7th year to just become that force in the NBA that nobody can stop.
The Bucks, I'll tell you what, the Bucks had better win something within the next few years because ain't no way Giannis is staying in Milwaukee. Now, I do like the fact that the New West CBA has made it possible and a little bit easier for small market teams like Milwaukee to hang on to guys like Giannis for longer.
Also, he has said he loves it there. He has said that he wants to stay there. So,
until he doesn't win anything, and then an up and coming. I don't know who will be the team then. Say it's the Lakers.
I wouldn't say
at that time come calling.
I wouldn't say that team's terrible though.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad, but it's still one of those teams that you look at and you go, they're pretty good team. But I've said on the show, I still think they're better than the Pistons, even right now.
It's because they have a superstar that's not a big man, basically.
But when it comes to a team like Milwaukee, like they could easily be that team that just keeps getting close, and never gets over that hump.
Yeah, they're gonna need somebody to want to go play with him, like another big time. Scorer, probably a 2-guard or a point guard.
I don't know. I think it's kind of what they were hoping to get out of Eric Bledsoe, but I don't think that's what they're going to get out of Eric Bledsoe.
I don't know.
I think that was betting a little bit too much on him. I do think he makes them better.
Sometimes you got to roll the dice.
He does make them better.
Yeah, sometimes you have to roll the dice. I mean, it's not like he's a bad player or anything. But this Pistons team, without Reggie Jackson out 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
That's tough.
It's funny, I was giving Reggie so much shit last year.
Yeah, and he's been so good this year.
I think he earned it last year.
He did earn it last year, but he's been so good. I mean, it's he just controls the floor for this team. He makes Andre better. That's all you can ask is really, can he supplement Andre to make him a big force?
Is Andre maybe making him a little bit better too?
I think a little bit, yeah.
I think the most impressive thing about Andre Drummond's improvement throughout this season has been, well, obviously, the free throws go without saying.
Yeah, obviously, and that's huge.
Aside from the free throws, it's been his ability to distribute the basketball as a big man.
Yeah,
that's what I think I've been most impressed with regards to Andre Drummond. It's almost like I don't know what happened with the way that Stan Van Gundy has decided to run this Piston offense. But you can tell that it's so much different just in the way that everybody fucking touches the ball.
Yeah, and they're passing a lot more.
Everybody touches the ball.
And Andre is aggressive to the rim.
Well, yeah, and we've talked about that. I know Dave's brought it up quite a few times as far as, Stan Van Gundy being asked on Valenti's show about whether or not his free throws are hurting his entire game, and Stan
basically said yes.
Stan was the first to say, you don't want to get fouled.
And now that's not the case.
Now he's fine with getting fouled. He's trying to get fouled. Yeah. He's getting upset when he's not getting the and one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? He's getting upset when he's not getting fouled, when he's not getting the calls.
Yeah. I'm watching the game right now. I have it on my computer.
Uh-huh.
Pistons have taken the lead, and they're winning currently. But Ish Smith has looked really good, but it's the middle of the third quarter, or close to the end of the third quarter, and he's dying out there. He is so incredibly tired.
Yep. That's a lot of minutes.
And you know what? I think he's been really good for this team. I think he's been a really good backup point guard. I think he holds his own against anybody in the league as a backup guy. I think he gets to the rim. They score with him as the point guard. They score. I believe they're better. They're more efficient with him on the floor than they are with Reggie.
Well, that's what makes the argument that makes the Pistons kind of a semi-threat. I don't think they're a threat to knock off somebody like Cleveland or anything like that.
Of course not.
But what makes the Pistons a tough team to play against is the bench depth. Here's the issue that I have with that, though, and I think that's kind of been their identity, has been their depth. But in this league, that's only going to get you so far.
Yeah.
And So like it's fun to watch. I mean, it gives us something to watch. I'm still kind of lethargic about the Pistons. Even if they do finish 4th in the East, I'm gonna be happy about that. Obviously, I think that's way better than I expected. But it's still tough for me to get super excited because with an identity like that, and with the way the NBA is today, it's just tough to get excited for the prospect of competing for a championship, which, as I've stated on this show many times, that's all I give a shit about.
It's very difficult in the NBA. And you know this, I know this. Anybody listening to us who's hardcore enough to listen to us knows that it's tough to win in the NBA. And
that's a lot like, you can't win football games if you lose them.
No, it's real tough when there's only like 4 good teams. All right? Like truly great teams. So when you look at a team like the Pistons, really all you can ask until that one day that magical superstar either, decides that he's going to, bloom from the draft, that they just take a guy and randomly he turns into a stud, or you build your team through free agency with a big time guy or trade,
which is not an option.
Which is probably not an option. Very slim.
Nobody's coming here to play.
All
ball.
You can ask for is to be highly competitive. Like the Raptors are like the perfect team that comes to mind in the East.
But then isn't that an issue with the NBA?
It is an issue with the NBA, but guess what? Do you not want like playoff basketball in your town? Do you not enjoy it? Do you not enjoy having those extra games, especially if they have a chance to win a series or two?
I don't know. I watched, but I wasn't super excited when the Pistons just got swept by the Cavs. I was just like, all right, it's cool.
Well, they got swept by the Cavs. I'm talking about if they're competitive in the 4 or the 5 spot, where they're going to play a team that they could easily beat. Not easily, but they could compete with and beat and go to the next round, and then probably lose to the Cavs or to Boston. And but I mean, even if they play Boston, I feel like they could fight Boston, win a game or two.
I was going to say not in a 7-game series. There's no way they can beat the
No, but I'm
Celtics
saying they can win a
series.
game or two. They can make it fun. They could make 2-2 in the series or something, and then just get killed in the next 2 games.
See, I don't know if that's me being jaded Detroit sports fan, and if you've still got some of that childlike luster in you there, Jeff.
It's more of I love the NBA playoffs, and it's fun to me, and to have the team that I root for in my city represented and actually have a shot to win a little bit. Because I know that I can separate the climate of the NBA from the Pistons. Like I know they're not going to win a championship with this team, and until, like we already mentioned, we just said this, that unless they're the superstar, they're not going to go anywhere. So, in the meantime, until the next going to work Pistons is built, another 10 years,
which is not going to happen. It's a different league now.
20. What do we go every? Was it 14 years? And won in 1990? No, they won in 20 years. Yeah. 14 years later, right?
Yeah.
So how far are we away from that? We're
going on 14 years.
Going on 14 years. So we're within the next 7 years we're due for another one.
The league, when
LeBron is gone.
That's the thing. That's the issue that I have. You're not. I don't think you're going to win a championship by trying to build another lunch pail crew like the Bad Boy Pistons or the Going to Work Pistons in today's league, because those versions of the NBA. First of all, the Bad Boys still had Isaiah Thomas. Okay, this guy is one of the greatest players of all time.
You have to draft superstars.
One of the great. So let's not act like the Bad Boy Pistons didn't have great play. Bill Laimbeer was a great player.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe Dumars was a great player and a great compliment to Isaiah. So let's not act like that.
Same with Going to Work though.
But here's the thing:
Rashid was great. Ben was great.
The Going to Work
was great.
They had. I would agree. The 2 Wallaces certainly you could consider superstars, and Ben was a different type of superstar.
Yeah.
He was. Nobody's.
There's still not guys like that in the NBA.
But what I'm saying is the way the league, with guys going to play with their friends and this ability to build these super teams. And I'm not saying teams shouldn't do it. If you're able to do it, do it. But I do think it hurts the opportunity for a team like the Going to Work Pistons to ever have success again. Now you could say, oh, well, they beat that Laker team. that grabbed Malone and Peyton. Those guys were in walkers when they went to the Lakers.
Yeah, they still had Kobe and Shaq, though.
They did still have Kobe and Shaq, but that's not...
And Derek Fisher.
That's not a super team in the way that today's super teams are.
No, I completely agree with you. And but I also think that we're in like an era. We're in like this weird middle era where we won right before Jordan. We won right before LeBron. So there's going to be another...
You're saying we can get lucky and trap one in between an era.
Yes, on the cycles, right? On the cycles. Before the next great one rolls around.
It's always going to be the Pistons.
You got to get in there somewhere by building a team that can squeak in there. And I think that you have to draft a superstar. Like, I can't remember, was the 2017 NBA draft results. Was Donovan Mitchell available when the Pistons picked Kennard? Or was he taken already? Was the Jazz before them or after them?
Dave would know. I don't know. I don't remember the draft order.
Oh, they took him right after in 13, 12 to 13.
So who? The Pistons were 12?
Pistons took Luke Kennard at 12.
Yeah.
The Jazz took Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is going to be a superstar. Maybe not a superstar, but a stud, like Paul George. And so you missed on that guy who was taken right after. Those are the guys you have to hit on. Those are the guys that if you want to build a team,
well, here's the thing.
If you want to become like the Golden State Warriors, you have to draft well.
And here's the thing. I think that's what...
It's the only way to win.
I think that's exactly what I was hoping and wanted, and I think a lot of Pistons fans wanted Andre Drummond to be. Where he was selected in the draft, it's... Okay, not a ton of superstars come from that spot in the draft. Usually it's going to be in the top 5. With a very occasional squeaker in there. It doesn't happen very often. So I think you were kind of hoping that Andre was going to be one of those squeakers, and he didn't live up to that for a while. So if he can do that now, which, by the way, I just want to say how unprecedented that would be. If Andre Drummond were to somehow turn into some big man type superstar at this point in his career, maybe not this year, maybe next year and the year after, as he continues to get better, that's unprecedented. Because generally in the NBA, by year 4, you know what a guy is.
Yeah.
Like, that's who that guy is by year 4 in the NBA. More often
even
than
with
not.
young guys, even with real young guys.
Exactly. You don't have, that late bloomer very often.
Like, they're very, very good, and it does take maybe 6 or 7 years when they become in their mid-20s to where they boom, like James Harden, like Russell Westbrook, like Kevin Durant, like those 3 guys. They all were like in their mid-20s when they took the next step to like superstardom. They went from great players to superstars.
But you always at least know that they can get to that point.
We're seeing Andre Drummond go from like a good player to a great player. I don't think he's going to be a bona fide superstar. He's averaging 15 and 15, basically 15 and 15, 14.2 and 14.9. So 14 and 15 a night, which is great. But this team...
If Andre just added some sort of short baseline jumper, you know what I'm not asking Andre to be knocking down shots from the elbows.
Well, right now the offense, that 5-and-1 offense, has really been working well for the Pistons. They're shooting well from the outside. Tobias is with his lone role is killing it. So he's scoring 18, averaging 18. He scored 30 a few times. The guy is blooming in front of our eyes as a very good player and a guy who can score the basketball. But they need it. Like, what kind of bugs me is like Henry Ellenson. They drafted him in the first round a couple years ago. Doesn't play at all.
Maybe he's not very good.
Doesn't get backup minutes. I mean, he's not even off the bench, and he was a first round pick. Luke Kennard's been pretty good, but that's because it's more by like I would say he's pretty good in the sense of like he's playing well as a rookie and he's not asked to do much. But when he is asked to do something, he's doing it at a decent clip. But with like Avery Bradley out, it makes him play even more. And he's been all right, but he's no Avery Bradley.
you don't say. You don't say a white kid from Duke can't quite play as good a defense as Avery Bradley can.
Stanley Johnson's terrible. That guy can't score a basketball at all. He plays decent defense, but that's it. And you have to watch him play more because both Reggie and Avery are out.
Luke Kennard is like. Can we just say this about him? And This is just an early call on my part. Quintessential white Duke shooting guard. Not much different than J.J. Redick. Not much different than the other Duke shooters that have come from Duke. Duke shooters that have come from... That was redundant. He's very similar. I don't think he brings much more than your quintessential Duke shooter.
Probably not. No.
I mean, that's it.
I mean, he's all right. He can get to the basket. He can dish. He can shoot.
I mean, hey,
he's just not going to be...
J.J. Redick's carved out a nice career for himself.
Yeah, he's just going to be a good off-the-bench player. That's all I think you're really going to get out of him. Maybe more like a specialist, a guy who just comes up and shoots the lights out. Orlando's...
You're looking for him to be John Barry?
Kind of.
Or Bobby Sura?
I mean, if you have to compare him to a white guy, then sure.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
This is a show all about race.
It's hilarious because white guys normally have very similar games to other white guys, and they don't have similar games to black guys.
When it comes to basketball, I think that's true.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if we're
like Damon Jones was like the kind of guy who was kind of like John Barry. Do you remember Damon Jones, where he was like only come in the game and like shoot threes? He really didn't like that. He's a similar kind of player,
especially when you're talking about guard play.
Yeah,
when you're talking about guard play, for sure. Like there are some white guy outliers as big men.
Yeah.
Like obviously there's Dirk, but I feel like Dirk. I don't even know what this means, but I still think Dirk plays the game like a white guy.
What do you mean?
I think he's just the best. He's just got the best white guy game out there. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean.
Like he still shoots a lot. Like he's an okay defender, but he's not a physical guy. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's more finesse. More white guys are finesse guys. They're they're not like LeBron James. There's no white guy in the NBA like LeBron James. There's no white
freak athletes.
There's no white guy in the league. Yeah, there's no white guy freak athletes except for like the big men, Dirk, Porzingis, guys like that.
Yeah, Porzingis. There we go. Porzingis could be the guy.
Yeah, but they're big men. That's like the difference, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And they can both shoot the three. And there's not a lot of black centers that can shoot the three.
Anthony Davis.
But
he's kind of he's mostly.
I said a lot.
He mostly plays. The four anyway.
Yeah.
With him and Boogie, it's a little bit mixed up in there.
That's weird.
I feel like we just had a really racially charged conversation about white guy basketball players.
I think they have different games, but whatever.
You can't say that.
Why?
I'm kidding. You could say that. You could say that on this show.
I think it is funny to compare what everybody compares white guys.
That is what happens, isn't it? Or like white running backs too. Yeah. You get that a lot.
Yep.
You get a lot of comparisons to the other white, or like if there's like a black hockey player, you know, because it's dominated by white men. Yeah. Obviously, you compare the black hockey players a lot to the other black hockey players.
I don't really do that. Because there's
not as much.
There's really not that many examples that you.
Well, there are a lot of different guys too. Like PK Subban is he's one of the better offensive forwards in the game.
Yeah.
You know, like Wayne Simmons is kind of a power forward kind of guy.
You know what game that doesn't lend to that you can't do that? Baseball. You can't do that in baseball.
But that's the thing about baseball is like there's really only one way to play the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you're not like,
I think that's what makes baseball.
You don't
beautiful.
compare like only Hispanic shortstops to other Hispanic shortstops. Like you can compare them across the board in style.
A shortstop's a shortstop.
Yeah. Like there are plenty of white, black, and Hispanic shortstops that all play the similar style.
Yeah.
They all dive for the ball. That's essentially what I'm saying.
So true.
Yeah,
baseball is the only game.
You can't be like, well, let me compare this Hispanic hitter to this other Hispanic hitter, but this white hitter's different.
Like, you do the same thing for black quarterbacks. You always compare the black quarterback to another black quarterback.
For sure. But you never compare black offensive linemen to only black offensive linemen.
No, it's only the quarterback position.
Yes.
It's black quarterbacks and white running backs.
Yeah,
and white receivers too. No, you get a lot of that.
You get a lot of Wes Welker, Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, like if you're a short stocky
Jordy
white guy.
Nelson does not play like a white wide receiver. He plays like a black wide receiver.
He does, I guess. He plays like because when you think white wide receiver, you always here's the
you don't think he can go deep. That's number one.
No, you think white wide receiver. What do you think of? You think of a slot guy.
Yeah, slot.
You think of a guy who's going to get dirty yards over the middle.
Yep.
And white running backs the same way. Zach Center, hard runner, runs right into somebody's ass.
Fullback type. Fullback type running.
Remember Luke Staley?
Yeah.
This is interesting. We're getting the race conversation out there. We need, as white men, I think we need to do that. I don't think I really compare
like white linebackers and black linebackers to other sizes. I think I compare them all to linebackers.
Yeah, the linebacker position, I could see that happening, though. Like, I could say, oh, man, Luke Kuechly, man, he's the new Brian Urlacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could totally see somebody doing that.
But to me, he's just as much the new Brian Urlacher is the new Ray Lewis. Like, to me, at least. Just the way they play. They don't really have, like, a type, you know? Like, Von Miller and, like,
Clay Matthews.
Old Clay Matthews.
Yeah.
They're very similar.
In the way that they do things.
Yes.
I have a feeling, though, that the next time you get like a giant white defensive end, like just a big hulking white human.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
J.J. Watt.
Yes. Or
it's going to be J.J. Watt.
Fuck, who's the guy just retired? I love him too. Fu Manchu, number 69, long.
You thinking about
hair.
Jared Allen?
Jared Allen, yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. I
think it's funny when white guys have long blonde hair that everybody compares them to the same other guys with long blonde hair.
Well, those guys typically only play one position. Those guys are always linebackers.
That's true.
Maybe they're defensive ends.
That's true. Yeah,
they're always linebackers though, particularly pass rushing.
Yeah,
linebackers.
they're all blonde.
I see. I'm describing. I'm describing Clay Matthews.
Why are they all blonde? For the most part, they're all blonde too.
Yeah, you don't see a brunette out there, man.
Not long hair brunette.
Once in a while, man. Gets a good straightener going.
Yeah. You don't see white guys with dreads in the NFL. Why not? Cultural appropriation. That's why not.
Exactly. If you're a white guy with dreads, man, you're like a stoner, man.
Yep.
Making fucking EMTs
Wasn't
in the
there
kitchen.
Tim Toon? Didn't he have dreads?
Tim Toon. I don't know what's worse, that or a Bobby Sura reference.
Yes, Tim Toon, Bobby Sura come up with the same show.
This is the whitest podcast we've ever done.
Yes, it's pretty funny. I mean, we're just working it out here. We're just working it out.
Oh man,
we're saying what everyone else is thinking.
You know, there are people that are going to be offended by the conversation.
Who would listen to us that would be offended? I think once you listen to one episode, you're either in or you're out. There's no like, maybe I'll come back to them. Oh, this is the one that got me.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, the only people who would be offended would be like social justice warrior white people.
I don't even know any of those kind of people.
Social justice warrior white people. I only see them online. Are the worst.
Yep.
They are the worst. You had to deal with one when you were talking about the Justin Rogers deal with Caldwell.
God, there's just so many stupid people out here. For all you people with young children, I feel I'm sorry that this is the world you have to bring those children up in.
Does it make you have a second thought about having kids?
Yeah, certainly does. Can't have kids in this world when there are people out here that think Justin Rogers is the race baiter. Oh my God, where am I? Who am I?
Well, the stupid thing about it is
Joe John.
That's who I am. Joe John, the guy that was arguing with you, basically kind of agreed with Justin with the same things that Justin Rogers says in the article, but he's pissed at Justin Rogers for
saying
even acknowledging the previous article from the turd from the Portland Happy Time News or whatever the hell it is.
Portland Happy Time News.
Is that what I said?
Yep. Port Huron Herald Times Herald.
Port Huron Happy Time News. Oh man, where were we going to go next?
I don't know. How long is this segment been?
We've
been talking for a long ass time.
Pistons to race. We're about a half hour into the segment here.
We can do a third segment if you'd like. Do the picks.
I don't have any picks.
You don't have any picks? We just wait for Dave next week?
Yeah. When he stops being high maintenance.
Dave, come back. All right, well, let's do a whole sexual assault.
Oh, God!
We'll do a whole sexual assault segment after a break.
We're going to have to start coming up with some music. This just keeps... We're going to have to make this a segment from now on. There's a new one There's a new one all the time.
But, I mean, we try to focus on the sports ones.
Like the newest one, Miguel Sano, of Minnesota Twin fame. Easily their best player. And here's the thing. This is a team that just finally got back to the playoffs for the first time since 2010. And there were actually rumblings of the Twins perhaps shopping Sano. I don't remember what for. But I find that really strange that you have a young team that you basically have to build your own superstars in a market like Minnesota. and you're thinking about trading your best asset, who, by the way, is still on the cheap. Like, he's still on an early contract. They're not paying this guy a lot of money.
I mean, how close are they to paying him? I know he's been on the team for a few years now.
And they're probably getting there. Another year or so.
Yeah. Because, I mean, sometimes...
But even so, isn't Miguel Sano the kind of guy that you keep, even if he only has 1 year left? If you're not competing, you deal him at the deadline?
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
Isn't that what you do? But there were rumblings that he may be dealt. And it came right before this story dropped. Now, I find, again, this is a situation that we've gotten to where there have been so many cases and so many accusations. You don't have enough time to gather enough details on all of them to actually have an opinion on whether or not you think the guy did it.
Yeah,
like that's how many are happening right now, and it's discrediting a lot of these new ones that are coming out. Like, for example, this young woman that's talking about Miguel Sano. Miguel Sano.
Yep,
Miguel Sano.
I got you.
It's really difficult to get those two names straight. But it's like I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know what if this is believable, and chances are, there's just as good a chance that this did happen than that it didn't, right?
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to really wrap my head around the 40 other ones that I still have to wrap my head. Like, it's on like an assembly line right now that's fucking backed up. I got to go through all of them. So this woman's story, first of all, she starts it off by saying, "Let me start by saying all I want from this is to tell my story." And then she says, "You may believe me, you may not." It's almost like she gets it.
Yeah.
It's almost like she gets exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
I understand. There's a lot of these going around right now.
Not really proof of it, but let me just throw it out there.
And then she goes on to say she was been afraid to tell her story and all that stuff. But then getting into the meat of it, where is it? Damn it, it went back.
Find the meat, Dan.
Goddamn screen reloaded.
Find the meat.
Okay, so they were lined up to do an autograph session, right? And she's there. She's a photographer for the Twins. And she spends a lot of time in the camera wells during games. She said some stuff about, the first base coach coming over and hitting on her a lot. And she said, I didn't really care. It was kind of in good fun. It wasn't a big deal. So they're at this autograph signing at a store that this woman volunteered at. And Sano, it says, he made a comment while we got our picture together that he had seen me during the games. During the signing, he kept trying to flirt with me, which I didn't reciprocate. After the signing was over, he decided that he wanted to go to the Apple store after he left the mall. As him, his agent, and the guy I worked for all walked away, he grabbed my wrist and made me go with them. I didn't want to cause a scene, so I just went along. What? You're in public.
Yeah.
Like, why is it a problem for you to pull away from this man?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. He's a turd for doing it in the first place. Yep. No doubt about that.
No doubt on that.
But I think you could maybe get out of that situation.
Possibly.
Again, it's so...
You're in public.
It's the other one. It's just so gray. Like, I'm not there. I don't know what happened. This is just her version of the story, right?
Yeah, like, and I can imagine if I'm looking at this... if I'm there,
if you're there witnessing it,
and he grabs her by the hand, and starts to be like, "Come on," kind of pull, "Come on," and she's like she just stated,
visibly uncomfortable.
Is she visibly uncomfortable?
That's the thing, we don't know.
Well, what she says is, "I didn't do anything because I didn't want to create a scene," so, which means she willingly went with him without making a scene. So. Am I going to do anything? Like, I'm standing there, I'm like, oh, this girl goes with him. Stop! She might not want you to go. She might not want to go with you. How am I supposed to? How am I supposed to know? You're the one walking with him. You know what I mean? You're the one holding his hand. I just don't know. Like, if you're just somebody there witnessing what she just described, you're going to have no idea that she didn't want to go. Unless she makes a scene. And she didn't. So clearly she just went with him.
Or at a minimum is visibly uncomfortable. Or like she gives you a help me look.
Yeah, or just like a what the fuck is going on kind of look,
I don't know you, sir. I don't know you, mister.
But if I'm some stranger, how the hell am I going to know?
She goes on to say, we spent around a half hour inside the store before it was time for Sano and his agent to leave. Their car was pulled around to a back hallway door, and as we got outside, the athlete decided, I don't know why she says the athlete decided he needed to use the restroom. I asked my boss where it was and then pointed to the door that we just walked through. You think you got to go back inside just to go take a leak? Apparently, I was too close, and the athlete took that as a signal that I wanted him to grab me and take me back through that door. I pulled back as he held my wrist. It hurt how badly he was grasping at my wrist, but he wouldn't let go. I wasn't going to give up my fight, though. He then leaned down and tried to kiss me more than once. Every time he did, I said no and kept pulling back. I was in a squatted position with my wrist throbbing. I screamed and no one came to help me. He finally gave up after a solid 10 minutes of fighting to pull me through that door. No, he didn't rape me, but he sure did assault me. Okay, I don't know what that means, first of all. And second of all, if Miguel Sano did this, he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And should be prosecuted to the highest extent of the law. No doubt about it. I do find some things in there a little bit fishy.
Her boss was the one she asked where the bathroom was? Her
So
boss is there? And
they
she's
had to
screaming?
have all been standing outside together. And you're screaming for 10 minutes while this guy's trying to pull you inside of a door?
I think it's more of one of those, it felt like 10 minutes.
I hope that's what it is.
It was probably like 2 minutes, and she
did
felt like 10
say
minutes.
a solid 10 minutes in this statement.
So that's like rounding it down, that it's more than 10 minutes. To say a solid 10 minutes means we were there for definitely more than 10 minutes, but 10 minutes for sure.
For the sake of argument.
Yeah, for the sake of argument, it was 10 minutes, but it just, I don't know. It's a strange story. It's like,
and then there's
I'm not saying I don't believe her, but there's a lot of weird things about it.
There's 6 dudes standing around. None of them's doing anything, really.
Yeah. Or like people in the store or workers.
Nobody hears her screaming for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Like, is she really screaming? Or is she like, no, I don't want to go. Stop.
She goes on to say, when I said no, it should have been the end of it. Completely agree.
I agree as well.
No doubt about that. He should have respected that and stopped. Instead, he hurt me and kept going. The next day, my body was so sore all over from having to fight off this athlete that thought he was entitled to take advantage of me against my will. It's not just the recaps of my fellow women. Wait, what? It's not just the recaps of my fellow women who have been through situations of their own that remind me of what happened. It's every baseball game, every write-up about this athlete rehashes this. Every time I have to hear about or this is not written well. Every time I have to hear about how great people think Miguel Sano is, I'm reminded of how awful he actually is and how he hurt me. That's the end of her statement there.
That's just odd.
It's a little bit fishy. There's some fishy things in that story, and that goes right around. Like, if this is the first one that I had heard of, I would immediately believe that Miguel Sano did this. I would have.
Yeah.
But since it's the 500th, and I'm almost desensitized by it now, I don't know what that says about either society or myself, but one of us has a problem.
I would also like to be like, all right, well, let's ask your boss, who was apparently right outside, if he heard any screaming, or if he thought you felt uncomfortable, or if why am I even saying he? Could be a she. That she thinks that you're uncomfortable. Any of these things, like, is there any corroboration? Because apparently you're in a public place with other people around, people you know. You say your boss was there because you had to ask where the bathroom was to go back inside. So if your boss is there, they should be able to corroborate this story, at least parts of it, where you felt uncomfortable. That you
she did say earlier on in the post that the part that I didn't read was that she's The reason that people like that don't say anything, whether you're a photographer or a writer or anything else, is because you don't want to lose access to the team. So unless this guy's boss thought that he was going to lose access and that's why he didn't do anything, like if that's the reason, then sports has a serious fucking problem.
Yeah.
If this woman's story is true, and that's what happened. He didn't do anything because he didn't want to lose access to Miguel Sano. Then that is, without question, an institutional problem that is very, very frightening. So it's one of those stories where you just kind of hope she's lying. You know what I mean? Just because of what it says about sports and about humanity as a whole, if she is telling the truth. Is that a weird thing to say?
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, I'm not meant to be insensitive about it. It's just like, if this story is true, what it says about sports and about what access means to papers and to reporters and to obviously photographers, that's a big fucking problem.
Yeah.
Which is why I hope this story isn't true.
And I'm sure every team has their own way of dealing with something like that. Like, I'm sure there are definitely owners or, people in management that'd be like, all right, this is fucking unacceptable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's a weird story. I don't really know how to wrap my head around that one. There's just things in it that I'm like, I mean, there's a lot of just missing holes in it. Basically, that's all I'm saying, is that there's a lot of holes in the story that need to be filled. But like, I feel like whoever wrote this story needed to fill those.
It was her. It was something that she wrote.
It was something that she wrote. All right, so a reporter didn't pick this up.
I'm sure. Yeah, no, reporters have picked it up since.
Yeah, but so if you're a reporter, then you need to fill in the holes before you publish a story, because you're just blindly accusing Miguel Sano of something that nobody knows about. If you don't fill in the holes, it's just, a lot of these other stories, there's definitely corroboration. There's definitely knowledge of people being there at the right, at this time, and these events happening. And this one is sort of weird, where there's all these people around, but there's no quotes from anybody else.
And that's the other thing about the entire deal. Now, any other woman in the city of Minneapolis can go, hey, he did it to me too. All you have to do is prove that you met Miguel Sano at some point.
Yeah, there is something strong about her putting it out herself and other reporters. If this is slander, I believe. Mm-hmm. No, it's libel. If it were untrue, if there are people out there that are like, we were all there and we didn't see any of this happen, she could be sued. So she's got some balls if it's not true. Or there's no way to corroborate it.
That's a good point.
She might have somebody out there to corroborate it.
That's the thing. Like, I don't go into these stories and talk about these things on this show calling these women a liar, unless I have a reason to call them a liar.
Yeah,
give me a reason to call her a liar. So I'm not calling this woman a liar.
No, of course not.
I'm so desensitized to it. It's almost like mass shootings now. It's horrible and it sucks. The thing that makes this worse is that with a mass shooting, the guy did it.
Yeah.
With this shit, it's all he said, she said. And, with any other woman that's met Miguel Sano now being able to come forward and say something like this, that's the issue that's the big men against women issue that you run into here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not saying that anybody would. I don't think 99.9% of women would, but somebody could. And if her story is true and somebody does that, well, now that discredits her story. You know what I mean? So some of these women that are coming out that don't have a lot of evidence or are proven to be liars are discrediting where some of these men have actually committed these crimes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, he didn't do this one, so why am I supposed to believe he did this one?
And it's kind of funny because these are the ones that kind of get pushed to the,
so in other words,
no one gives a shit that Miguel Sano fucking grabs you by the wrist. All right, there are dudes out here raping people. We got, these stories are the ones that are going to be ahead of your story. Nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? Unless there's a reason, like you pulled this up because it's sports related and it's relevant at the time. But this one is going to go forgotten. I'm not going to remember this once baseball season starts. I'm sorry. It's not an important story.
Unless something comes out, there's a trial or something happens, and it's proven that he did assault. Because she doesn't go into detail about how he quote unquote assaulted her.
Are you suing him, or did you press charges? No, I mean it's really hard. It's just a lot of hearsay.
That's what makes these things such a bitch.
I know,
because there are real legitimate victims out there.
And what I'm and the good part about all of this is that now, with all this coming out, women aren't. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a woman, but I guess women shouldn't be as afraid as they were in the past to come out about these things.
And that's the catch-22 of it. That's what makes it great.
And so now, when they happen in the future, or at least in the near future, we should be hearing about them, and we also should be seeing actual action taken towards it, because a lot of these are like hearsay or just the other,
in other words,
20 years ago, he fucking grabbed my ass.
In other words, instead of
you can do about it,
instead of women waiting 40 years to come out with this stuff,
coming out and putting these guys on blast for what they did.
No, yeah, there's
pressing charges or suing them.
There's definitely some positive things here, but it's like we've talked about on this show many times when it comes to sexual assault and rape and sexual harassment. Obviously, a rape kit is really good proof. Yeah. Any sort of DNA is obviously really good proof when it comes to a rape case. But there's so much he said, she said going on. And it's like, I just don't know who to believe anymore. I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to believe. I don't know how to believe it. and it sucks because I know that this is a real problem. I know that, men with, I've seen it. I know men with power, think they can, just have any woman they want. For whatever reason they want, to do anything they want. I've seen it. I know it happens. I'm not trying to deny that this stuff happens. But do I believe that, everybody's that way? Of course I don't. And why should I? Because I've met enough good men in power, in a power position, that have been just fine.
Yeah, I've never run into anybody like this in real life.
I have. I definitely have.
I know some creeps. Don't get me wrong. There's some creeps.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody knows creeps.
I don't know anybody who's just...
There are benevolent creeps, though. There are creeps that just do peeky and watchy.
Yeah, and I've never known anybody like sexually assault anybody. So lucky for me. Lucky for me. And then I pick decent people to hang out with, I guess.
You're a good judge of character, Jeff Mel.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to hang... there are people that when I meet them, they give me the fucking chills. They're fucking weird, and I know they're not good people.
You've got a friend that I felt that way about at your party.
Yeah? Who? Tell me.
I'm not going to say any names.
Put
right
them
here.
on blast.
I'm not going to say any names right here.
There are a few people there that I didn't really know that well. So.
I creeped you out.
Not that they creep me out. It's just they're.
No, Roger, it's not you.
I don't know them well. I mean, they're probably. It might be one of my friends that I do know well. Who knows? But there are also some that are. Some of those people there I didn't really know all that well.
Do we have anything else we wanted to cover? Do you have anything else on your rundown that you actually put together for us today?
No, it was Pistons. It's mostly Pistons and Lions. I just wanted to air my grievances on the Lions and those stupid fucking Caldwell articles that help fry my brain for this show. Watch stupidity of people just taking an absolute shit. Makes me angry.
A toilet clogger.
It's a fucking toilet clogger.
The whole thing is a toilet clogger.
Oh my god! Just reason, logic, and reason just goes right out the goddamn window.
It kind of does.
It's just like, what are you talking about?
It happens all the time, and that's.
I don't think this is right.
That's what makes people at the center of the aisle the most hated people in the world.
I don't think this is right, so I'm going to troll you. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? Do you not? And then somebody defends themselves.
Do you really think it's just some dude in a cave in Tuscaloosa?
Probably. Isn't that where all trolls come from?
That's the thing about being a troll on the internet these days. Like, it used to be the whole moniker was like you're a dude with long hair, you haven't taken a shower in 3 weeks, and you live in your mom's basement.
Like all the trolls you see on South Park.
Yeah, but now it's like
could be anybody.
It's real people.
Could be your grandma.
It could be your grandma.
Yep. It's like Kyle's dad in South Park, where his dad's the troll, and he doesn't realize it the whole time.
I'm going to have to monitor my grandma's internet usage.
Skank hunt.
Skank hunt?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Skank hunt.
How dare you talk about my grandmother that way?
Yeah. Very interesting.
That was the guy's name, though, wasn't it? Skank Hut 69 or whatever from South Park?
Yep.
Oh. We came in with it. We're going out with it.
You just want to watch the video again.
It's fucking stupid video. Dave should be back next week. He's done being high maintenance.
Yep.
We'll find out.
We should be back Monday. Or wait, no, there is no show Monday.
That's right.
Next Thursday.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. It's the last show. I hope we entertained this year.
Wow.
We
got really racially and gender charged towards the end of the year here.
And we're leaving that here in 2017. I think in 2018 we're going to bring you a better product.
Wait a minute.
I'm revamping this whole show without you even knowing about it.
Oh.
Yep.
I'm interested to hear about that.
You know what? So am I.
You've been listening to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports for the absent David Faze and Jeff Mell. I, of course, am Dan Griffin. Out of Bounds Detroit Sports, sportsradiodetroit.com. We are out of here.